Do you know who the best health insurance companies are in Ohio? Well, hey, stick around. That's what we're doing today. So you're trying to figure out exactly who the best health insurance companies are in the state of Ohio. But trying to figure it out is trickier than watching a magic trick without your glasses on. Not fun. But don't worry, since Obamacare officially went into effect back in 2014, I've helped hundreds of people figure out this exact same question. No, just real quick, just to be clear, these are health insurance companies for your individual and family policies, not for like a company or anything like that, because there are differences between individual and through your group, through your health insurance through work. There just is. So the first question that you might want to know the answer to is, what am I judging these companies on? It's a good place to start. So the three biggest areas that I'm taking into consideration are network size, plan selection, and overall price. Additionally, I will be considering how easy the company is to deal with for us as your agent, and also for you as the consumer. So you might want to know why I'm actually qualified to make such a judgment. Well, to be honest with you, I've been a licensed health insurance agent here in the state of Ohio since 2009. And I followed the Affordable Care Act basically since it was written, or even thought of, or was mentioned, essentially. And to top it all off, I've spent the last 3 years in the trenches actually dealing with the new law with people like yourselves and the companies to learning the ins and outs how the system has worked and who's evolved with it and who hasn't. So the top of the list starts with Medical Mutual of Ohio. Really, for the third year in a row, Medical Mutual has continued to dominate almost everybody else from a type of plans that they offer, more specifically the size of their network and their overall price. Sure, there are companies that might be a little more cheaper in some areas of Ohio, but overall, Medical Mutual is going to be pound for pound the best bang for your buck. When most insurance companies decided to limit your network of doctors and hospitals that you could choose from, Medical Mutual stood firm and remained intact their original network prior to the Obamacare kind of implementation. And they did it while offering you a decent selection of plans to choose from that should hopefully fit almost anyone's needs. Number 2, InHealth Mutual. Now this new kid on the block has earned its spot here at number 2 entirely on its network of doctors and hospitals. Now there was a little bit of drama right after open enrollment with InHealth Mutual to where they actually said they were going to lose a bunch of hospitals, but they actually didn't end up losing a bunch of hospitals. So their network still remains very strong in comparison to almost anybody else and can go toe-to-toe for medical mutuals and almost in some cases surpass it. The only downside to InHealth is the pricing of their plans can be hit or miss depending on where you live in the state. They're a lot stronger and more competitive if you're in the central part of Ohio around the Columbus area and even trending a little bit south towards Dayton and Cincinnati. But if you're up towards the Cleveland area, Toledo area, it gets a little more pricey and they tend to be a little less interested in us northern folk. The biggest exception you will find with InHealth Mutual's pricing is if you are a smoker, as they are definitely a lot more forgiving for your bad habit than other health insurance companies. So that's something you might want to consider. Now, sadly, we have to enter a two-way tie for third place. That tie is with Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Aetna. Now, there's nothing wrong with either company per se. They both offer a decent amount of choice for their health insurance plans. However, their networks do tend to be much more limited than the first two companies that we talked about. The price can be hit or miss as far as if it's going to be maybe a little more affordable than Medical Mutual, but more often than not, they're usually equally priced or competitively priced within the ballpark of each other, with Medical Mutual, again, really surpassing it with that strong network of doctors. So the little amount of difference in price that there is most of the time, it's usually not enough for me to say anyways that it's worth giving up all the extra doctors and hospitals that you would be if you decided to move away from a company like Medical Mutual. In the middle of the pack, number 4 on the list is a company I can't actually technically say by name because they have a strict social media policy that's prevented me from mentioning them anywhere on the site. And you might notice a glaring omission of them not being mentioned anywhere on the site, and that's why. But I decided to be clever for this list, and I'm just going to say that their name rhymes with Righted Stealth One. Of course, this is not a real insurance company's name. This is essentially a placeholder for the company that I cannot officially say. So Righted Stealth One, albeit a fake name, they were never really concerned with selling health insurance in Ohio, even before Obamacare kicked in. It wasn't until last year that they really decided to give a serious go-around to being in the health insurance marketplace through healthcare.gov and all that fun stuff. Again, your mileage is going to vary with this health insurance company, as their trimmed down network actually does make decent sense for some people in certain parts of the state. Again, most notably around the, outside Columbus area, around that area, their network is actually halfway decent. But they made a very questionable decision at the end of open enrollment, and they have also become increasingly more difficult to deal with, it seems like, since that time. Now to the bottom of the barrel. In reality, the last 4 companies on this list could all be tied for 5th place. However, I just put them on here because you don't know that, and you might have heard something from somebody and said, oh, hey, these guys are cheap and affordable, and here's why. Starting at number 4, for no particular reason, Obamacare. And unless you live somewhere in the Summit County, Stark County area, Obamacare is really not relevant. I mean, that's their primary base of operations. It's a hospital network in that area, and that's where they really have the best shot of making any sense, if at all. And again, network, price, plans are okay, but they really just can't compete with, definitely Medical Mutual and even some of the other companies that are ahead of them on this list. And number 5, again, for no particular reason, HealthSpan. This is the company that is formerly known as Kaiser Permanente, and they're one of the more famous examples of an HMO-style health insurance company plan, structure, whatever. If you do live close enough to HealthSpan's facilities and you have received fairly pleasurable experience going to their doctors and hospitals, then it might work. But if you are worried about needing treatment anywhere else outside of those facilities, then chances are this might not be the best fit for you. And number 6, Molina. These last 2 companies are about as lean and mean as you can possibly get and still be considered real health insurance. Molina is another HMO-style plan that offers a very limited network of doctors and hospitals. Until 2014, they were strictly a Medicaid provider, meaning they only provided health insurance to low-income people and families that were assigned to them through the state of Ohio. That's important because you're not going to want to confuse that coverage with what we're talking about right now. What they're offering now through the marketplace or healthcare.gov is individual coverage that is a lot different than the Medicaid program. This past year, 2015's enrollment for the 2016 year was the first year that I was actually appointed with Molina. I don't know if they did it the year before, but it's the first year that I heard of it. And once they decided to start working with brokers, I definitely signed up so I could have the first-hand knowledge of what's going on with the company. But much like our fake insurance company up above, right at Stealth One, we've experienced some pretty challenging times getting in touch with people at Molina with the few clients that we do have with them. So they're not the easiest to deal with, that's for sure. And finally, number 7, CareSource. I almost could just replay the entire segment from Molina that I had right here and it'd be about the same. These 2 companies share a very similar history, both starting out as Medicaid providers, both being in limited sections of the state. I think CareSource is a little more widespread than Molina, but for the most part, they follow a very similar path. The biggest difference between CareSource and Molina is that CareSource doesn't like people like myself, that being independent insurance agents, as they do not work with any agents. So I don't have that firsthand knowledge like I do with Molina. That means if you do decide this company is worth a look, you're going to have to do all the heavy lifting on your own, as an independent agent is not going to be able to help you. So what's the bottom line? Well, chances are, depending on your potential tax credit, you're going to get what you pay for if you bargain shop with your health insurance. Once you walk away from the clearance rack, you're going to find that Medical Mutual offers that biggest value, that bang for your buck, that really any other insurance company can't match just yet, or doesn't want to. Now, of course, there are definitely a few specialty brands, if you will, Anthem and Aetna, to where they might work and fit nicely for very, very, very small groups of people. But again, they are more the exception than the rule. So what's the next step? Well, let's put these companies to the test for you so you can actually see where these numbers fall out and really understand exactly all of the fine details of these companies and their plans. So click right here on my face to get started learning more about that right now. If not, there is a link below in the video's description if you don't want to click on my pretty face. But of course, as always, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. It does mean a lot to me. And I am Joey Giangola with Giangola Insurance. Take it easy, everybody.